Reopen it. What do you think it
No
is?
dinosaurs. No Bionicle.
They're coming. Bionicle!
The fuck are you doing?
Welcome to Rewind, the show where we explore late 90s and early 2000s pop culture that has impacted me and many others. And on today's episode, we're talking about Bionicle. Oh baby, that one word slaps around in your mouth before coming out. Bionicle. Now for those of you whose parents didn't make sweet love before 2001, that word probably means nothing. But for the rest of the world, Bionicle was the only thing us kids had to look forward to, in between mountains of homework and awkward dinners while our parents yelled at each other. Let's rewind a bit, back to the 90s. The company Lego, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with at this point, was really sucking a wanner, slurping a peener, licking a dong, as far as sales go. Although they were able to strike a deal with Lucasfilm to make Star Wars sets, it wasn't enough to fully support themselves. Lego knew that it was time for them to milk their own tits instead of Lego Yodas. They quickly realized that Lego themes were definitely the way to go, so they tried coming up with their own. Some of the first short-lived early attempts were Slizer/Throwbots in 1999 and Robo Riders in 2000, which were popular and inspired Lego to create a new story-driven theme which would prove success for the next decade. This, of course, was Bionicle, but some of the first names were buckets of overflowing shit. Not literally, of course, but I mean, they first wanted to go with Boneheads of Voodoo Island. Yeah, what? Gentlemen, we need to come up with a name, quick. Ferguson, what do you got?
What about Boneheads of Voodoo Island?
Yes, this is why we hired you. Yeah, thank God they had an intern with common sense, though.
Yeah, that name's bad.
You're right. Ferguson, you're fired. They finally settled on Bionicle, which is a combination of biological and chronicle. I guess it makes sense since they're alive and it tells a story. Other names were also considered, such as Bionites and Aftermen, but were ultimately lost. Personally, I think a medieval knight teaching biology would be cool, but I can see why they didn't go with that. The creators obviously preferred geology. Lego would first launch Bionicle in Europe and Australasia in 2000 to test the market before launching in North America in 2001, and that is when Bionicle would take over the world by storm. I was a big Lego fan even prior to Bionicle, but when they came out, if you didn't have a Bionicle, you were worse than a virgin simp furry boy. You were, as they used to say back in the day, not cool. I don't have one. Loser.
You're not cool.
It was a perfect combo of building a Lego set and having a badass action figure to play with. They had many different Bionicles that followed a story. Basically, you have an island called Metro Nui, then in some capsules the Toa roll up, who have masks that grant them elemental powers: fire, ice, water, earth, ground, and air. The Toa were to protect the people of Metro Nui by fighting off the evil Makuta and their minions. These were the 6 base elemental sets, but they would eventually add more elements as they created more sets. These were just the first in a line of many to come. The commercials they made back in the day did a very good job of selling kids on how awesome these toys were. I mean, look at this commercial. The red guy is surfing on lava with his swords. The red one was always the best and had the coolest weapons. They even had the All-American Rejects and Daughtry songs for some of the commercials. Lego really knew what they were doing when they created Bionicle. When you have an action figure, you want to fight with him. Well, if you have a good guy action figure, you need some baddies in there too. Luckily, there was no shortage of villain Bionicles. You had the Borak, the Rakshi, the Makuta, the Baraki, the Gadunka, the Paraka, and many others, each with their own different designs and weapons that they could use. Plus, some of them even had masks or little worms that came with them. If you kept up on the lore of each Bionicle, you would know their race, name, and what their special abilities were. The Boroks could fling their masks that they had at the Toa to take control of them, while others had slug shots or disc shooters. There's a lot of lore in the Bionicle universe with many different wikis talking about each race's history, abilities, and how they tie into the main story. I personally was never into the main story, nor did I have all the sets. I had 3 that I can remember, and they were all villains. I had this blue Rockshi, I think I had a brown Borok and another Borok, but I can't really tell from watching this old footage. Doesn't matter. The point is I had Bionicles and I was really into it. But I wasn't the only one. In 2001, Bionicle won Toy of the Year award from the Toy Industry Association, and in 2003 and in 2006, it was LEGO's #1 theme. It didn't take long for LEGO to make Bionicle for other media platforms. It spawned movies, video games, merchandise, a very popular website, comics that continued the story, and even a card game. I had no idea that there was a card game. Apparently it's shit though. The only movie I ever saw as a kid was the first one, called The Mask of Light. I don't remember anything about it as a kid. Watching it back now, it's basically just one big commercial. There were 4 movies though, and I didn't want to watch them because I don't have to. There were quite a bit of games too that were made. They made some for the Game Boy Advance, the PC, and they made one for all the consoles as well. That's the one I had for the Wii, called Bionicle Heroes, but it was also on the GameCube, PS2, Xbox 360, GBA, and DS. This is the same copy of Bionicle Heroes I had when I was younger. I even have the receipt that says when I bought it. I remember when my mom took me to Walmart to get this game, I was a little embarrassed, even though I was like only 10. My friend's dad was working there and he said, "Are you sure you want this kid Lego game? My son has this basketball game and he said it's fun." But I said, no, I want this one." "Why?" Because I want it." Bionicle Heroes follows new Toa that are on a quest to kill all the Paraka. This is a basic third-person shooter Lego game that's alright. It's not the greatest game, but it has its moments. You have 6 different characters that each have their own abilities and weapons to assist you on your journey. The red guy has a fire machine gun and can use the force to burn down vines. He's the best, don't at me. The water Toa has a water laser and can walk on water. The ice guy has a sniper and can build ice bridges, while the green guy has a shotgun and can jump really far. The gold one has a rocket launcher and can use the force. You end up using his ability the most. And finally, the black one has a remote grenade cannon and can climb walls like Spider-Man. Once you upgrade his weapon all the way, it's pretty broken, basically becoming a nuke. Everything throughout this game is Lego and definitely reminds me of any typical Lego game. You collect Legos, which is your money, so you can buy power-ups and upgrades for your characters. One thing that sucks about this game is you can collect these gold and silver canisters throughout each level, but most of them are hidden behind these power-up plus walls where you have to upgrade each character's elemental ability to max before you can even access them. So basically, if you want to get all the collectibles, you have to play through this game twice. Each freaking level. Twice. The biggest kick in the robot scrote is that the gold canisters are pretty much worthless, just getting you these mask bundles that you can view in the collectible lair. At least the silver ones, once you've collected all 5 for the mission, add a pet you get to keep in your private Bionicle zoo. I understand why they do it this way. They want replayability for the players, and for a kid, I get it. When you get a new game, you want to get the most out of it. But I definitely feel that this is an old game mechanic. But for an old Lego game like this, I guess I'll let it slide. There are 6 different realms containing 4 missions each, with the colored Paraka as a boss fight at the end. All the realms are pretty much the same though. The only thing that really changes is what color the level will be. The first mission of each realm has you going through killing everything and fighting a Rockshi, color-coded with whatever Paraka boss you'll fight at the end. The second mission is just a regular mission where you collect a green orb at the end. The third mission, you fight a giant Bionicle. And the fourth mission, you fight a Paraka. Every boss fight in this game is the exact same too. When you collect enough Lego pieces, you enter what is called Hero Mode, where you can't take any damage and are basically God. The only purpose Hero Mode serves is to move a bundle of gold Legos that either clear a path for you or, in the case of boss fights, hit the boss. So you go Hero Mode about 3 times per boss, they get bopped, and then the last 4 to 5 hearts you just strafe left and right, dodging their bullets until they let their shields down. Then you shoot them. It's really repetitive and not very fun. Just time wasting, honestly. After each Paraka fight, this big dude on the spider comes, and then you shoot the spider's head for about 30 seconds, and then he leaves. Each mission starts you off with only a couple Bionicle masks, so you have to go through and collect each character as you play through it, every time. At first it didn't bother me, but once you realize that pretty much just the red character is useful as far as killing things go, it's pretty annoying having to collect each mask every level. This game is super easy, even for a kid's game I had when I was 10. You can cheese the game by switching to another character just before you die and make everyone else bite the bullet for Mr. Red here. Another mechanic that I didn't enjoy is whenever you pick up a mask, even if you already have it, it will automatically switch to that character. So then you have to scroll all the way back to Red and waste even more time. The shooting in this game, for the most part, is alright. The motion controls are okay, but all you do is just move forward holding down the shoot button because the auto-aim feature. There were times when I was zoomed in as the sniper guy looking way to the left or right of an enemy, and my dude's green laser-focused eyes would lock onto the enemy and blow it away. This aim assist is pretty necessary. Without it, aiming would have been a nightmare. There were times, however, where it would fail me. Whenever you get swarmed by a bunch of spiders that run up and try kissing your legs, your guy freaks out and starts whipping your camera down. Other times when you're wanting to look away or ignore enemies, it wouldn't let you. It feels like you're competing for the camera control, and honestly, you usually lose. When you upgrade each character's weapons enough, it actually aesthetically upgrades as well. The red guy goes from a little pistol to a giant lighter car part to a big machine gun sword. Seeing each character's guns change was always a nice treat. You can upgrade their armor as well, but it doesn't do anything other than make your heart silver. It would have been sick if the characters would have gotten actual armor upgrades. You can also buy these hints from the shop, which are really cheap, but all they do is tell you little tutorials on how to play the game. Yeah, you heard right, they make you buy the tutorials. Pretty dumb. Good luck trying to figure out the game as a poor motherfucker in 2006. And finally, you can buy little extra things for what is called the Paraka Playground, which is, yes, you guessed it, another zoo for you to store your trophy kills. Each one is a fun little animation that you can call a Paraka over to do, from teeter-totters to lounging in a chair. You know, the more I played this game, the more I questioned if you were really the bad guy the entire time. I mean, you kill these guys, store them in zoos for you to play with them, or keep them in canisters where they can't even see the light of day. Plus, whenever you kill one, you play with their heads like a true Jeffrey Dahmer you are. Maybe it's just me, but this doesn't sound like the work of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, actually, you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo. Once you beat the game, you can play as the main villain, who is super OP and kills everything with his big Gandalf staff by shooting these big electric orbs. You can also buy 3 bonus missions from the shop to play through. They are all incredibly expensive, mind you, and each one is how many of a certain enemy can you defeat in 2 minutes. Pretty underwhelming. Overall, this really isn't a terrible game. If you like LEGO games, you may enjoy this one because that is exactly what it feels like, just way more repetitive. I had fun though. And, I mean, it brought back some good memories. Also, fun fact, the speedrun world record of this game is 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 40 seconds done by Mia Cam from New Zealand on PC. The real question we need to be asking ourselves is, if Bionicle was so popular in the early to mid-2000s, how did it die? Well, it could be a multitude of reasons. But a reason for me is they just kept making too many sets, which isn't a bad thing. More sets is always better, but it was just hard to follow the story unless you were a true Chad Bionicler. Comics that they had kept the story going, but for someone like me who had only a couple toys and saw the first movie, then played Bionicle Heroes, it was really hard to follow. A decade long of lore was just too much. I didn't even recognize any of the Toa in the Bionicle game I played, I just thought it was fun. Aside from me being an ill-informed gamer about the story of Bionicle, the trend just started to fade. Plus, LEGO saw more profitable things that they could put their money towards. What is that, you say? Well, have you ever heard of Ninjago, or Lego Chima, or Lego the Movie? These were just becoming more popular, and Bionicle was sadly on its way out. In 2009, LEGO announced that Bionicle would discontinue after its final wave in 2010. They would then try to reboot it in 2015, but only 1 year later would it discontinue. Now, if you want to pick up one of these Bionicle bad boys, you're going to have to sell your Anime Girl figure collection to get one because they are really expensive. So if you have any, hang on to those lads, and maybe in a couple years you can sell them and pay off all your credit card debt. Bionicle had an amazing run, and I'm very glad it was a part of all of us 2000s kids' childhoods. It changed how LEGO saw itself. Seeing how profitable themes in LEGOs are would influence many more of LEGO's creations down the line. Could Bionicle ever make a return? I mean, maybe, but sometimes in life you just have to let things run their course. Everything has a lifespan, and very few trends, toys, and various sorts of media entertainment can live past a certain amount of years. The fact that Bionicle did for an entire decade is awesome. Maybe Bionicle will make an epic comeback someday, but until then, Bionicle will live on in our hearts. Thanks, Bionicle. It's been fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below if you had Bionicles and which ones you did. Let me know if you want to see an epic return of Bionicle. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other awesome episodes of Rewind. We also now have official RadKatz merch. Snag yourself one of these sexy Rewind tees and a RadKatz hoodie. Click the link down below or head over to teespring.com/store/radkatz. And remember to be kind and rewind.